So I want to talk about a very simple activity that I like to use a lot just to foster and promote scientific questioning and curiosity in the classroom. And it's something that can fit whatever amount of time you have. It's also a great kind of backup activity if you're doing something you're like, oh, this might finish 5 or 10 minutes early. It's very quick to improvise and have pulled up. It's also something if you're in a school where you're required to or you choose to do some sort of bell work or something like that, fits very well into that space. And so I ended up calling these daily wonderings. And the way this would work is that we'd have some sort of stimulus. A lot of times it's a picture. It could be a little video clip. I think there's a couple times they use sounds or whatever. Sometimes it connected to the topic for the day. Sometimes it didn't. And so we just have this picture, and the goal was to have them come in, students come in and either write, like in a journal, their list of questions, talked about them, whatever. As many questions as they could come up with about. So sometimes it was how many questions we can come up. Sometimes it was who can come up with the single best, like most interesting question. And so then you get stuff like, well, student be like, well, isn't that just like completely up to your judgment? Like, yeah, impress me, come up with a cool question. And so a lot of times when it came to finding pictures, there's a lot I would pull from my own experiences and trips or things like that. I also follow on social media, I would say pretty much every national park, museums, zoos, all sorts of things like that. And they're constantly posting things that you see and you're like, oh yeah, that would be a good one to use. And then a lot of times I would just kind of keep a folder on my computer of, oh yeah, this would be a great picture to use, I should hang on to it. As you come across it, like, oh, save that one. And then those are easy to pull up very quickly. You can even, if I thought I maybe had an activity that was going to end with some extra time, especially in this first few years of teaching, have one pulled up on a tab. And if you have it 5 extra minutes at the end, you just turn on your projector, flip over the tab, and there you go, you have an activity. The thing that I really like about this is it's easy, it's very quick, but it generates a lot of questions, and it's a very authentic process. So this is the same sort of thing that when folks are engaging in science, they do that kind of like, wait, what is going on here? And the depth of questions can really be pretty impressive. And so this picture in particular, I chose for an example today, because this was a very real, for me, process of like, I'm trying to figure out what's going on here. And it's not so much with that picture as it is with this one. Now this one is going to probably be a little bit tough to tell. This is a picture from an 1880s expedition into the Rockies of what's now northern Colorado. I guess it was northern Colorado then. Expedition there. So this is a scan from the original. I knew the person with the originals. And so one of these projects that kind of just like for my own curiosity, my own interest, this expedition was actually 2 years of them. Really kind of fascinated me, and so I was going through his journals because that's been turned into a book. I have some of these original photographs. I was trying to dig through like where was it that they were when it took these particular photographs from the expedition, because it's not as easy to identify as you would think, because a lot of the names they used in the expedition are not the names that are on the map, and so this one in particular says Willow Park on the back. And that's Rocky Mountain National Park, and there's not a Willow Park there on the map. So if you pull out a current map, you go, it's not there. And so I think I had this photograph the better part of a year trying to figure out where it is that this picture was taken. Now, I remember trying to like follow ridge lines and understand it, and really I spent probably a year that, every now and then I would look at it and try to toy with it. And then it clicked one day that ridgeline matched up with this photograph that's on the screen. And I'll be honest, it felt rather silly because the photograph on the screen, not only did I take, but it's the one I've had blown up and is hanging over our fireplace in our living room. So I've stared at that image every day I've been home since we moved into this house, and still was looking at this photograph and asking all sorts of questions like, "Wow, what's going on? I don't remember an area with that many willows." Well, it's not. Elk have overgraced that. I don't remember the riverbank really flowing like that. Well, it's not. The overgrazing of willows has kind of shaped that bank a bit, and so it's certainly changed. There's areas that have eroded a bit. I mean, it's 120, 130 years difference between the photographs, but it's the same location. And so it's a very powerful, authentic experience to kind of dig through, what is going on here? And very direct. It's a great way to bring in other places to your students. Sometimes I would use photographs that I knew I was setting them up for a very difficult thing to try to unwind. Sometimes I had no idea what they were going to come up with, but I just came across the photograph on a national park Instagram account or something. That's interesting. So very simple, very easy way to just introduce even a few minutes of scientific questioning, of curiosity into your classroom every day.